Welcome to Guitar Nutrition. This week we started getting serious on TikTok. We're posting 5 lessons a day. So if you're on the platform, check us out at Guitar Nutrition. I like to think this will be a space where we can interact more directly with people in terms of specific questions and just keep a stream of steady, nutritious, bite-sized little snackable content coming. So if you like guitars, if you're learning guitar, follow us over there because I'm excited where we're going to go with this platform. Today, we're going to be reviewing some of the TikToks that we posted this week and unpacking some of the ideas a little bit more. Let's get into it. When you're playing the guitar, you want to make sure you're sitting properly. Keep a nice straight back. Let's not be leaning over our instruments. Let's not be slouching. Oh, it's comfy, but it's not good for guitar playing. And let's try and keep our shoulders in a neutral position. That's important. A lot of people think the guitar has to be like horizontal to their body, end up pulling the shoulder forward. It's a bad idea. Try and keep your shoulders in the most natural position possible. You'll see a lot of players actually use the guitar on this other leg, and that lets your shoulders sit in the most natural position possible. There's nothing wrong with using this leg though, and as long as you're keeping your shoulders in a neutral position, everything should be all good. This is a really good one. I'm really big on posture and making sure you're sitting well when you're playing the guitar because I've had injuries in the past. I had really bad RSI on my arms when I was a kid from playing computer games, not guitar. But it just threw me into this mindset of thinking about how all this stuff works. And while you are unlikely to cause serious damage if you are just playing the guitar as an enthusiast, not a stupid number of hours every day, you might be doing other things in your life, like sitting at a computer, whatever you do for work, that it could just be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It just could be the thing that stacks on that aggravates an injury. And you don't want that to happen as a result of playing guitar. In terms of sitting, you don't have to have it straight like that. Like a lot of people see that. That's what you think of when you think of playing the guitar, but it's actually good to have it on an angle. When I play the guitar, normally I've got it on quite an angle, like a 45-degree angle to what I'm facing. And sometimes I'll even sit with it like this. You've got to have this left leg up a little bit if you're doing that. But this here results in you sitting in a far more neutral position. Your shoulders, your arms, everything is more natural. So have a think about your posture when you're playing. Try not to be leaning over it a whole bunch because getting it right will help you enjoy the guitar long term. You gotta make sure you're relaxed when you're playing the guitar. It's so easy to let the shoulders tense up or to get tense arms, but try and be aware of what your body is actually doing. The more relaxed you can be, the more effectively you can play guitar. This is something I'm always trying to be aware of when I'm playing. How relaxed are my shoulders? How relaxed is my body as I'm sitting? It takes some practice to be aware of how you're feeling in terms of like the tension in your muscles and stuff while you're playing guitar. But as you're playing, just think about it. Think about what's happening on your body. Are your shoulders relaxed? Is there any tension? And if there is, just try to let it go. You'll find you're able to play much better and you're less likely to hurt yourself with muscle injuries later on. This is an important one. It's so easy to get tense shoulders when you're playing guitar, just letting them up like that. Try and stay relaxed as much as possible, not just with your shoulders, but with everything when you're playing the guitar. Guitarists have this chronic desire to want to play fast. But the problem is when you try and play fast and you're all tense and not relaxed, you actually don't end up being able to play fast and you do more harm than good in the long run. So make sure you stay relaxed when you play. That should always be the goal. How relaxed can you be when you're playing the guitar? Talking about our left hand. Often you'll see people playing and they'll be like reaching forward like this. There's a massive curve in their wrist. That's not good. When you're playing, you want to try to keep a straight line from your elbow all the way through to these knuckles. That way you're less likely to cut off the tendons or the nerves or whatever in your arm, less likely to develop RSI type symptoms, which is not fun. When I was a kid, I used to have RSI in both my arms from lots of computer gaming with bad posture. I had to get physio for weeks to fix it. Don't want to get that from playing guitar. So as much as possible, try and keep the straight line from your elbow through to these knuckles here when you're playing. None of this. Try to keep it nice and straight. Sometimes that's not always possible. If we're playing notes up the top here, there's gonna be a gentle curve in our wrist, but we can still try and minimize that. And when it is possible for us to move out of it, we wanna do that. Now, I'm not a physio or a medical professional. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do know that this line that you want through here is really important. We don't wanna be kind of cramping up our wrist as we're playing the guitar. It's not always practical in every situation, but try as much as possible to keep this knuckle to this knuckle here in a straight line when you're playing the guitar. So I don't know if you've noticed, but the guitar is actually quite different to the piano. But when you're playing the piano, you push a key and it's like a button. You push a button, that requires very little effort. When you're playing the guitar, you're actually pushing down against strings that have tension on them. That's basically lifting weights. When you're playing guitar, you're lifting weights. Guess you could actually use it to lift weights. The point is, we've got to actually train our muscles to be able to hold that weight. We've got to use our hand in different ways. We've got to develop the dexterity that we need to be able to do that. If you haven't done that before, it's gonna be a little tough starting out. So don't worry if your hand gets a little tired or a little sore. Don't overdo it, but don't worry about it. Just shake it out, give it a break, and come back later. Guitar is not like the piano. Piano, it's easy to get a great sound straight away. Guitar requires strength. Don't forget this. I have so many students that just beat themselves up and feel real bad about the fact that their chords don't sound fantastic in the first lesson, or in the first week, or in the first month sometimes. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. Everyone's got a different learning curve, and it's just a matter of developing the strength and dexterity that we need to play those chords. If you're doing the right things, it's inevitable that you're going to be able to do it. So yeah, guitar is not like the piano where you just can get a great sound immediately. It takes some strength, it takes some dexterity. Be patient with yourself. Okay, this one's important. Do not practice the guitar unless you're doing it effectively. We don't want to cause problems for ourselves. And if our head's not in the game, if we're just thinking how much we want to eat pizza, or I don't know, I really want pizza. We're not going to be focused on the activities at hand. Try to be fully in the moment, fully aware with what you're doing. If your head's not in the game, go do something else, come back later. It's better that you come back when you're fresh and able to focus than you sit there and try and practice for ages if you're not in the mood and possibly end up developing bad technique or bad muscle memory because you're just not aware of what you're doing. So don't practice unless it's effective practice. I think it's a hangover from back in the day where you used to have to do your 30 minutes of piano practice or whatever. People used to be a lot more strict on the idea of practicing an instrument. But we all live busy lives nowadays, and we don't all have as much time as we would like to practice. So I think it's far more important that we make use of the time we do have and practice effectively and not beat ourselves up if we don't get it all in. You know, people have got kids, people have got jobs, people have got school. There's so many things going on that it's not always practical to get your practice in. But the thing to remember is that you can't make backwards progress on the guitar. If you're doing everything correctly, you're practicing effectively, even if your progress is slower because you might be in a busy season, you're going to be making progress. I had one student who didn't practice like at all because he was just stupidly busy at work. But he still saw me every week for like a month. And in the period of a month, he had made progress. Sure, it was a lot slower than if he had been practicing, but that continual bringing it to mind in our lesson every week. He'd work on it in our lesson, work on the muscle memory. I'd give him direction. I'd help him get his mindset in the right place, making sure he's thinking of the right things so that he can progress. And even though he literally did no other practice except for at the lessons, he made progress. It was slow, but it was still progress. And as his life gets less busy, he's going to be able to put more practice in and make quicker progress. So yeah, do not worry if you don't have a lot of time to practice. It's more important that you do effective practice than quantity practice. I tell students, if you literally only have 60 seconds to practice for 60 seconds, as long as it's effective. You can get a lot done in 60 seconds if you do it effectively. So one idea that I really like is this idea of mental bandwidth. We only have so much focus when we are playing the guitar. And if all of our focus is taken up on playing a really pretty sounding chord, but we still need this much focus to actually strum, what makes you think that you're going to be able to have good chord changes and strum when we need full focus for each of them? When we start doing two things at once and we only have so much focus in our mental bandwidth, we're going to make mistakes. It's going to sound average. That's okay, because as you get better at strumming, as you get better at playing the chords, you won't require as much focus for each of them. And so you'll eventually be able to do both of those things within your amount of mental bandwidth that you have. Let me know if you've got any questions about this. Don't forget to follow so you don't miss out on any of the next lessons, and we'll see you guys then. Yep, I love this idea of mental bandwidth. People beat themselves up because they think they should be able to do something. But what they don't understand is the amount of focus that's actually required to do this brand new thing. You're thinking about it a lot. If you're going to add something else to the picture, well, how are you going to give your full attention to this other thing? So you've got to be patient with yourself. Just recognizing this as a thing helps so much, because it just gets rid of the pressure that you have to do it perfectly, or if it doesn't sound perfect, that you're doing something wrong, because you're not. So one problem students often have when they get started with their pick and their chords, we learn to strum from the A string for our A chord, which means we're not supposed to be hitting the E string. So students try and be accurate, and they strum like this. They try and be really careful to put their pick on the A string. Do not worry about it at all. Honestly, accuracy is something we develop over time. And in fact, there are muting techniques that we can use that we'll learn later because they're more advanced, that mean we don't actually even let the strings we don't want make any noise. If I'm playing this A chord, I'm actually muting that low E string. I can strum whatever string, nobody's going to be able to hear the ones I don't want them to. So when you're strumming and learning to strum the chords, don't worry about hitting the wrong strings. Try and be as accurate as you can, but it's more important that we refine a correct strumming technique than try and fix the wrong one, because you're worrying about a few little rough patches. I love this idea. We want to refine the correct technique, not fix the wrong one. This is something I see tripping up so many students, so many people online. I have students come to me and they say, oh, I've been self-taught, but I've hit a wall. And often we end up having to correct a wrong technique that they've developed over time. You want to make sure that you are going towards things with correct technique. It's going to be rough when you're starting out and developing a new technique. That's fine, because over time you will refine that technique. But if it's completely wrong to start with, then we have to get you over to the right space before we can begin to refine the correct technique. So don't worry about it being rough. Refine a correct technique. Don't try and fix a wrong one, because we don't want to deal with that. So you have to have the right mindset when you're learning the guitar. If you've got the wrong mindset, things not going to go good for you. But what I always tell my students is it's basically impossible to make backwards progress on the instrument. Keep that in mind. It's really, 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 really hard to screw up learning the guitar. As long as you're doing the right things in pretty much the right order, you'll make progress. Are you ever going to forget riding a bike? Are you ever going to forget learning how to speak English or drive a car? This is stuff that becomes fluent for us. And it's the same with guitar. Sure, it might take a little bit longer if you've got a busy life, but it doesn't matter. Every bit of effective practice that you do continues to propel yourself forward in your career as being a guitar player. And you've got your lifetime to learn, so don't worry if you've got a week that you can't practice or whatever, or you have a bad practice session, or if you have a month where you can't practice, going on a family holiday. Lucky you. It's impossible to make backwards progress on a guitar. You know, you meet people and they tell you, oh, I don't have a sense of rhythm, I'm tone deaf, but I don't really subscribe to that idea. You see, everybody can walk, and walking is a rhythmic activity. You don't see people walking around taking awkwardly sized steps or awkwardly paced steps. People can fall into a cadence and walk alongside somebody. That is a rhythmic activity. Everyone can also pretty accurately count seconds. That is also a rhythmic activity. We develop the perception of rhythm around those things. Music's just like that. There's just more variables. So I've worked with many students in the past who have had difficulty with rhythm, and all of them have made progress. Some of them have found it more difficult than others, but all of them have made progress. Because I think everybody can develop their sense of rhythm. That's it for this week's TikTok review, guys. Those are some of my favorite lessons that we posted on the platform. So if you're not following us there already, go and do that. We're doing 5 lessons a day, just thoughts, tips, tricks, things to help you become a better guitar player that you can, consume in 2 seconds while you're having lunch. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Guitar Nutrition channel, give this video a like, and let me know in the comments if there's anything we can help you with. We're going to be doing lesson videos every week, and if we can make something that's going to help you specifically, then that is flippin' ideal. So let me know in the comments, and we'll catch you guys next time.